at halftime, right? Right? Want to check? Yep.
Yep, that's right.
All right, we are there. Folks, we can use our voices now. Amazing.
Awesome, awesome.
So on the animation streaming component, uh, I want to understand here that you are choosing to concentrate some effort on IK, which is very important. But you'll just as easily be able to bounce back, right, to working on that real-time component. Because I feel that you've got some big projects coming up at the lab that will need it. The whole GLTF initiative, that stuff was kind of meant to live in a real-time world. So I'm a little bit worried about that as a user here.
Sorry, you said animation streaming?
Yes.
For me, or is that what Simon's working on?
Just the crowd here, the Lindens on stage here. The streaming, real-time streaming of animation data, right? So we can kind of get that Counter-Strike CS 1.6 levels of interactivity going.
So I had an experimental branch, not merged in, that was trying to stream all the animation, post whatever the final state of the avatar, it would just stream that. That is still sitting in an experimental side branch. Getting stale now. I need to rebase that thing. But I am working on IK because there was some bit rot there. It got really bad, and it never was fully stable. So it was actually blocking progress on some of the other fronts. So I'm taking another swing at that. I found some time, get away from the other stuff I was working on, and we were trying to get another developer involved, but he's super busy too, so he hasn't jumped into it yet. Anyways, it is still my intention to experiment with the animation streaming, yes. Some of the stuff that you guys are asking for, I don't really see how it could be done without that. So yeah, I'm still gonna.
It would be literally impossible to do it without that. So yeah, you're right. We put you in a position where you'd have to develop a very specific system.
Right. I've said it before, but that's how High Fidelity did their animations. I'm sure most of the other multiplayer systems where they're sending custom animations do it that way.
I think in general, I think we're in agreement with you in that, the tech base that Second Life is built on is really old, obsolete. It's kind of amazing that it's as fun as it is at this day and age, but and there's a lot of different tech like that we can get to. I do know from a technical side, and the people working on the materials and everything, is that they firmly believe GLTF is the future, and I couldn't argue against it. And one of the interesting aspects of the animation importer work we're doing, I hope we get that in a public branch soon, is we're using an open source library called ASIMP, ASSIMP, find it on GitHub, and they basically have this library that reads, I think it's around 38 or 40 different formats into their own internal 3D world, structure, and we're using that to read BVH files like we used to be able to do, and the FBX file format. Getting the FBX format or import to work where we could just access the raw data was really easy. And it's a matter of sort of just burrowing into the FBX, the world that comes out, and extracting the animation. So I would hope long term we can, and one of the other formats on that long list is GLTF. And so I hope that we can get animations from more places and more data from places like that too, in other areas. So, yeah, I wish we had a dozen smart, eager people that we could throw at all this and do tons of cool new things. Convincing the accountant to pay for that is a tough job. So we're doing the best we can.
Right, that's like ASIMP is like image magic, I think. Kind of translator component turns things into other things.
Yeah, it seems that they can take a whole bunch of their 30 or whatever, 30 or 40 different formats, and they all bring it into their own internal structure. And so currently we can read the animations out of there. What we found is, with a BVH file that you could already upload in Second Life, that comes through easily. So, yay, we can do what we used to do. You open up a Mixamo, based skeleton FBX file, and you get, a skeleton that is is not targeted for Second Life, and the geometry is all different.
Oh yeah, you're going to run into natural problems there because you guys don't have a retargeting subsystem yet.
Exactly, yeah. So
Which you will need. You will have to build one or find one when you get into GLTF.
Yep. Yeah, we're kind of looking at the very basics of just going one other format, not necessarily a full-blown extensible retargeting system, but yeah, the more we can do with that, that's going to be key to, it's like import and conversion of formats and geometries is huge.
I mean, that medical chart, I think one of you guys posted a medical chart earlier with the rotations. Yeah, that's kind of what a retargeter would get at in the case of Second Life. But it's funny because you're basically going to have to chop a lot of that off or interpret it.
Those are that's constraint data, and just finding, like Mixamo doesn't have the same number of spine bones or the exact same sort of layout with the shoulder collarbone structure. So you just get into all sorts of differences like that where you somehow have to match it up and, hopefully make it work. So, yeah, we're kind of that's what we're poking at right now.
Yeah, do not be afraid to reach out to any of the people in the crowd here. I'm not saying you got to reach out to me, but you got a lot of good people here who make stuff rigging-wise. If you need, test rigs are out there, but you're going to have to get your hands kind of dirty with some of this stuff if you don't reach out. So,
well, that's why we have this, and we're trying to keep you guys in the loop. Like I said, I do hope to get that import code pushed out into a public branch soon. I've been kind of waiting where, gee, I wish I had something that I could actually show with it, or that we had something to show with it. I'm not the only one working on it or anything. And I don't know. Maybe it's time to just go ahead because we do have the BVH import working. But I'm hoping we can have something soon where we at least have a very specific FBX skeleton that we can import reasonably well.
Yeah, I do easily foresee a time when you guys will have to, as good as the Linden skeleton has been to us, you might have to retarget someday, not now, but someday you might have to plan to retarget to something cleaner. Especially once we get fully this node-based rigging mesh system going. The old skeleton might not cut it nearly as much when you're doing rotations on wrist and elbow.
Yeah, well, that is very much on the table. Like I said, the viewer guys using GLTF and looking at that pile of tech in the viewer have already said that we really should. There's no reason we.
You guys are going to free up the constraints, like put them in a text file or something. You're going to be like, let's get this out of the hard coding here. Put it somewhere where you can interact with it more.
Yeah, that's for IK, and that I think would, that would have an immediate benefit. People could be playing around with that and tell us that, help us fix up the elbows and so on. But yeah, there's no technical reason why the viewer could not support. We went from the old original skeleton to bento with all sorts of different add-ons, but there's no, hardcore reason why you shouldn't be able to have a Mixamo skeleton in the data, in the animation data or whatever, and it gets downloaded to viewer and your avatar is walking around with a Mixamo skeleton. And you'd obviously have to have products rigged for it and everything else, but that could open up a lot of things. It's big, it's a huge project, but I think it would be good.
So, did any of you guys get to check out the Havoc IK tools that were mentioned last time?
I don't think so. I didn't.
I had wanted to, but it sounded like it was more of a like a pre-production tool set for like making your animations.
Animation state machine stuff, yeah, setting up. But then again, Havoc, the way you guys used it is really weird compared to everywhere else. So it wouldn't be unusual for you guys to pull another Havoc thing and use it in a weird way. Guys are kind of original in some of those ways. If not Havoc, I mean, Babylon, Babylon.js and 3.js have some really neat animation state machine stuff. I remember we talked about that way early on.
Yeah, I don't know the full state of or what the other developers would want to do there. Last time I spoke to Dave Parks, Runetai, about the avatar animation stuff, he had some ideas. I would defer to him on like animation state control changes. If he wants to use Havoc, or he actually expressed a desire to do some GLTF, more GLTF conformant work.
Yeah, if you do it that way, you get a state machine for free. You just download one from somewhere. I mean, the hope with that is, here's how it would interact with server. You guys are server guys. You could make an asset that is an animation state machine asset. It's like character asset. It'd be an animation file of some sort that's server side. You trade it in your inventory. Bam, you can become whatever you want. I guess it's like an AO in a way.
Yeah, that would be neat. I'm realizing like whenever we talk about all these ideas, it occurs to me that we have a bunch of assumptions in our code about what exact joints we have, and so it would be a lot of work. I'm just saying I don't see the path right now for some of these ideas.
Well, that's talking way off from where you guys are now.
Yeah.
We're asking a lot of you guys to say stuff like that, and you won't have to deal with it for a while. I will say whatever you can do to free up, like break away from that old code and be like, hey, now this is open to interpretation by the creators and users. The more you can do that, the better, wherever you can.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
I hear you.
Yeah, that goes back to the kind of the fundamentals of what made Second Life work and take off, is everybody, the community being able to participate, contribute, mess with it, experiment, all that.
Speaking of the original part of this project, the face tracking code that is commented out, did any of you guys try to hook in any of the ARKit stuff from Apple or anything? Like, there's some pretty advanced stuff just being given away out there now. For face controlling, specifically, it only does faces, I think.
We have not tried face. On a side, I have wanted to. I picked up one of the Leap Motion hand controller sensors. They're kind of old, but pretty cool. And wanted to feed finger positions into the Puppetry streaming, but that kind of got sidetracked in that we've got to figure out IK, and the other one is we don't have a good or a solid C++ example of the Leap plugin, and their SDK is C++ code, so I don't want to deal with a Python conversion layer. But yeah, I would, that's the one aspect that I think is, it's exciting and it's obscure, and I don't think it's nearly taken off. I mean, we've seen some potential, like Chaser. I think it's Chaser did the Blender to Second Life link.
Yeah, the live link plugin. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that plugin technology has the potential to really open things up, and I hope it can. We can develop it, document it, promote it, whatever we need. Teach people enough about it that more people pick it up and do things with it. I think that will take off when we can actually show something working well and having a compelling example or a compelling demo.
Well, if you want to kludge something together, ARKit talks on a MIDI controller right now. The way they did it. So you, instead of plugging that into Unreal, you could just steal that stream and plug it into Second Life in a very kludgy manner, the way Felix did.
Yeah, we've tried kludgy things. I mean, I've played around with an old Kinect controller. You very rapidly hit the same problem of how to get from whatever data is coming out of a system like that or whatever it is, and mapping it onto our skeleton and our coordinate system and coming up with the right Puppetry stream or stream of Puppetry data. And our first attempt with the webcam, I forget the library that was doing that webcam mocap capture, what the name of it was. That we still have that plugin, but it's still quite limited, and part of the failing on that one was that IK wasn't giving us the motion we liked. But yeah, I would really love to get any type of hardware that isn't a $3,000 motion capture suit, mapped on, yeah, and even that would be nice, mapped onto Second Life, and be able to do a decent demo of someone full body dancing around or whatever, and having the avatar doing a good impersonation of that. That's kind of that's our original. That was our original goal. And we've kind of zigged and zagged since then. But I do hope we get there someday.
That is definitely open XR land, Jenna.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone's taken a serious stab at connecting OpenXR into the plugin. I would love to collaborate with someone. I don't have the hardware or the knowledge, and I've unfortunately learned my 3D spatial geometry skills have rotted in over the decades.
Well, I think a few of us in the room have a lot of stuff. I know I bought the new iPhone with the LiDAR. Was it the Pro or whatever? Plugging in ARKit into some kind of system here would net you a really neat tech demo pretty quick. Like, if someone knows how to code that thing, reach out to me, because, hey, I got the phone and I got the 3D knowledge. I don't code, though.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, doing full body with the camera was always risky. That one,
it's hard.
Kinect did a neat little thing there, but man, it doesn't apply everywhere.
Yeah, I've got the Kinect plugin I've got. I think it's on a separate branch of the Leap repository. I can do a very basic wave, but it's totally hacked based on like slamming values to a 2D plane and just doing like shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand bone. I think that's like there's like a chain of only three or four joints. And so, but their data, you basically have a 2D picture coordinate system plus depth and so on that takes some serious math to convert to Second Life.
Well, there was, I think this that came out a little while ago. There's a Google, I think Google funded thing or sponsored thing. That's ARKit. Someone open sourced ARKit basically, so you can use any phone instead of iPhone. If you got a phone, you'll at least be able to get upper body. Asking you to do the whole body like Kinect is a lot. It's not even common to VR chat yet. Like, it's not common.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd be happy with upper body. I think we kind of agree with or understand each other on what the goals are, and somehow we got to get the two ends plugged together and make it work.
Yeah, no, like, you guys should be focusing just on that IK. You're right to just focus on that IK and the real time. It's two things: real time animation component, IK. You get those two things, huge success. Everyone loves you. They still love you right now, but everyone will love you even more if you get those, and you'll lay the groundwork for all that cool stuff later.
I do know with the work Ryder was doing on streaming, that he confirmed or designed it so that basically he can get a full snapshot of I don't know if it's just attachment points or is it actual joints, but basically you can get the full snapshot of a body at a given position into a single packet.
He was talking about attachment points.
Attachment points, okay.
And it turns out that if you send all the attachment points, including the ones that you can't see, or sorry, that other people can't see that you can see, it doesn't fit in a full packet. So it only fits in a full packet if you ignore the HUD attachment points.
HUD attachment points. What do you mean, like the physical HUD?
Oh, the list of attachment points where you can attach something, there's a bunch of them that correspond to spots on your body, but some of the attachment points in the list include spots that actually show up on your screen rather than on your body. So if you attach an object there, you can see it, but other people can't see it because it only corresponds to the context of your own UI.
So, but if you get even a few of these attachment points, though, you can interpolate, like, what was it, that thing we showed you that one day with the character physics shapes, I think they were called, or something? What was it, rendering metadata? Collision skeleton, that's what it was called. Right. So we can get the collision skeleton via whatever attachment points you guys can supply. We can kind of get it. I think that's really important.
Yes, that's right. I was just mentioning that details. That not all the attachment points fit in the single packet, but all the ones that matter do.
Okay, yeah. So I think we can make that.
Cutting it really close, though, right? Like you're not going to run into a moment where you're like, all right, guys, we can't have any more. We're out of room.
There's yes. Basically, that rises to the question of whether that the code that supports that is future-proof. If we added more attachment points that you could see, it would blow out the size of the packet. You'd have to change the logic there. That came up when I was working on one of my projects, and Henry Beauchamp was making comments on the code. I guess he had ported the code to his own viewer project and realized that he had to make it well, he wrote it future-proof so that it could expand the number of attachment points. Details.
Henry did that, or one of you guys did that?
Henry did it. He did it because he was blowing out the size of the packet because he forgot to ignore the ones that you couldn't see.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, here's a fun one. We were talking about constraints earlier, and I know you don't have much time here. Constraints, an easy one to get, I always felt was like constrained to ground, like a thing that always points towards the ground. I guess it's a local to world there or whatever. Are we already able to do this or something? Like, am I getting that wrong?
We don't support that yet. Just to nitpick, though, you're talking about an end effector target.
Okay, end effector, right.
Not a constraint. But yeah, you would specify that like the feet stay on the ground. Well, I don't know what kind of support we have on that. I haven't done IK on the feet. I haven't tried doing that. I haven't worked on the actual joint constraints for the legs. And when you do that, you also need to be able to kind of shift the pelvis around. Like you can actually specify an offset of the pelvis that works. Anyways, I haven't experimented with that yet. But yes, it would be nice to constrain the feet to stay in a particular spot on the ground. Eliminate foot slip and whatnot.
I mean, what's hilarious is I wasn't even thinking of feet. I was thinking of a cup. Your humans hold dishes up, right? So it's always pointed towards ground, wherever gravity is. You want to keep that dish from tipping, so you don't lose everything in it.
Oh, you mean like a target orientation?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yes, we will support that, yes.
Awesome. Nice. I don't want to spill your beer in the virtual world. It's really bad.
That's right. And if the IK is good, you won't spill it. Actually, I guess bad IK would not spill it too. You could break the bones to keep your beer upright.
Right. Yeah, you could just break the hell out of the bones.
Well, if you started like cycling between solutions or shaking or something, you could be spilling it all over.
I mean, the reality is you'd have to code like, well, the user, like whoever's creating that thing, would have to say, okay, once you pass the limit, yeah, you're spilling that drink.
Right. Track the angle off of the z-axis or something like that.
Yeah. Like, that's the kind of API stuff I want to see come around sometime.
We'll get the don't spill the beer feature. That's a good note, I think, to call it time. I should get going.
Thanks so much for meeting with us, guys.
Thanks for everyone coming out here for your time and ideas and conversation. It's good.
Yep. I'm currently working on IK. I hope to be done today or tomorrow. I was hoping I'd be done yesterday or today. When I get it finished, I'll put another video up on the Discord Puppetry channel. I'm hoping to get the shoulders, less pinching on the shoulders.
Really good. When I told you to free up the shoulders a little bit, they looked fine. They worked. They looked fine. Pretty good, anyway.
Yeah, well, I was looking at it to see why they were pinching, and it turns out it's happening because the when the IK reaches its solution, it doesn't actually move the collarbones much. But the way the constraint works on a real shoulder is that when you start lifting your arm above, say, the horizontal, your collarbone must move.
You gotta fall. Otherwise, you break it.
Yeah, so so my IK solution is not essentially it's not enforcing a constraint at the shoulder on how it's connected to the collar. So I'm looking at that, see if I can make it better, but if I can't make it better, I'm still going to ship this because it's better than what we got.
Oh yeah, totally. The old thing was wacky. Some of that might just have to wait too. Like, the reality is, some of it might be rigging based. You can't solve for everything.
Yes, I was discovering that, and it matches up with what you were mentioning, that we're going to have to do some retargeting. The way that the forearm is rigged to the bone there is bad.
It's incorrect. To be completely honest, it was made in a time before we knew better.
Yeah.
So yeah, retargeting is definitely in Second Life's future if you guys decide to go that direction.
Yeah, basically I'd written the elbow constraint to allow it to twist because your real forearm can twist at the end.
It has to do it, yeah.
When I did that, you get pinching at the mesh at the elbow. And
yeah, it's because you're missing a forearm joint. So
yes.
Modern rigs have two bones in the upper arm and lower arm. Same with the legs. And we don't got them. And whoops, should have got those during Bento, folks. We should have done that. We gave ourselves 5 fingers, but no way to twist our arms.
Yeah, right. So that work needs to be done. Well, I don't know who's going to do that. Not really my expertise.
Oh, that's first. That'll be the other team. But yeah. You can at least document and be like, hey, this is why this looks weird. We're missing a forearm bone. That's why it does that.
And once we do get that, I mean, if we ever did get that extra bone at on the forearm, um, then I would have to change some assumptions I'm making in the IK.
Remember, there's two.
Oh,
There's two. You've got one. You don't really have two in all these spots, but for rigs, you got your twist and your actual rotate. You got like a twist bone and a rotate bone. That's what they're doing there, and they're separated. They're cut like you take that bone, you cut it in half. You got two different bones there. In reality, you don't, but for computer graphics, you do, because we don't have a way to simulate muscles. This is the way we went with it. So
yeah, that's right.
you can just have to make a note there and be like, hey guys, when you're grading, like when QA is grading your stuff, be like, we're missing some bones. Just a fact.
Yeah, sorry, when you say twist and bend, you're talking about the bend of the elbow, right? And the twist.
For wrist and even for the shoulder blade, because you can twist your the upper arm, I guess you call it, right? You can twist that, and we don't really have that bone to do that very well. You can twist it sort of, but it's gonna look weird. It's gonna stretch. You're gonna have stretching going on.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You're talking about the wrist. Okay.
For the wrist and shoulder, right where the shoulder connects, because you got two bones there right now, but imagine you cut them in half and you added an extra bone inside. And if you want pictures of this, I'll send you pictures of it, Leviathan. I'll send you some on Discord.
Yeah, I think I get it.
Yeah, just the missing data. Your IK system might be behaving completely as the fabric documentation says it should, but you don't have the bones to do it, like to make it look pretty. And it's fine. We're not asking you to add them, by the way. That's not what's happening here. We just don't want you to fight a battle where you can't win.
Yeah, fabric is just a basic IK algorithm. It doesn't really care what kind of bones you have. It could be applied for robotics or whatever.
True.
I was kind of grumping about fabric because it wasn't working for me, but I've discovered after working with it more that the problems I was seeing are not with fabric per se. It is how I was enforcing the constraints of the joints.
Yeah.
If you do that wrong at all, if you got a little bug, it goes terrible. So I've tracked down most of the bugs, applying the constraints in the right times. I'm currently working on exploring or changing where I enforce the constraints. Right now, I do the fabric forward and backwards, and then I enforce constraints. Looks okay, but I think that's one of the reasons why the collar is not moving. So I'm going to try enforcing the
Doesn't have the influence. There's like an influence constraint missing there, I guess, or not tweaked enough.
Yeah, it's missing what I call back pressure when you're trying to hit the target point. If some ends of the bones don't reach there, it'll move bones further down the chain.
Yeah.
And that pressure further down the chain doesn't really exist on the collarbone because the other bones from the shoulder down can get there they can get there before the collarbone needs to adjust, basically.
Yeah, it's just a missing rule. It's a little missing rule there.
All right, I'm gonna get back to it. Talk to you all.
Thanks so much. Have a great evening.